Welcome to the Brick Motor Cloud Podcast, where we share scaling stories of F&B and retail businesses. This podcast is brought to you by StaffAny and produced by Nila Studios. Today, I'm super excited to grab a beer, might be alcoholic, might not be, with my friend Josh from GYG. Welcome, Josh!
All right, man. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Welcome to the show. Could you share a little bit more about your story before talking about GYG and the brands you run?
Yeah, man. I mean, my story, geez, I guess. So I grew up in Australia. I grew up in Brisbane. I'm a Brisbane guy. Went to school there. Went to university there. Spent 5 years in a bank, a UBS, a Swiss bank, which was crazy, you know. And I was very fortunate to get out of there and end up joining GYG. The founder of GYG is Stephen Marks, who's like a big brother to me. Even though we fight like
always,
brothers. We fight like brothers, but I adore him, you know. So I joined him in 2012, I think, and he says, Josh, and I said, I want to do a country, Steve. I want to do GYG in a country, right? And we were going to take GYG to London, and he says, Josh, the only way you can bleep out the swearing. The only way I'm gonna trust you with my brand is if you work for me for a year on the grill, right? He says this, and I was like, what? And he says, if you work for me for a year on the grill, flipping chicken, I'll trust you and then we can launch a country. Anyway, long story short, I end up finding an incredible partner who's also a brother of mine now. And we launched GYG in 2013 in Singapore, in Asia Square, which thank God, it was extremely, we were terrified, but thank God, extremely successful, you know. And so we've spent the past 12 years, Hong, my business partner, and I, Hong, my bro, we've been 12 years, man, growing GYG. About a year ago, we discovered Yochi with an amazing family, the Alice family, Jeff and Janine Alice, and their son Ollie, who I work very closely with. And we launched Yochi about 6 months ago. So they're the two brands that I operate here in Singapore.
Amazing stuff, bringing in GYG to the top Mexican chain in Singapore, as well as Yochi, where the lines are all the way from one end of 313 to the other end. And,
I love it.
And I see the trend of people putting in like just how 10 cents Yochi that they try to do, and they line up for an hour for crazy virality. How do you guys build that viral brand and scale the business like that?
Man, I wish I could take credit for it. I mean, the Yochi founders, Jeff and Janine and Ollie. Ollie's the brand director. I mean, this kid's dynamite. This kid, he knows Gen Z, right? And he knows what the trends are. He knows what people want to experience. He knows what people want from a kind of brand, kind of hype perspective. He deeply understands TikTok. I'm kind of just the operator guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the genius. So, man, I mean, the response from Singapore and Yochi has been incredible.
Good stuff.
Incredible.
Good stuff. What's the plan for Yochi and GYG the next couple of years? Like, what are you guys thinking of doing? More countries, more markets, more products? Like, what's the plan?
I love it, man. I mean, for Singapore with GYG, we think. Well, you know what you think? I mean, Singapore. I mean, I owe Singapore everything. The Singapore's kind of built my life, my career. I had my daughters here, and everything. So I think we feel a big obligation to Singapore. We feel a duty to Singapore to kind of, our mission is to fix fast food, right? That's the mission. We want to fix fast food. We want to change the way people eat. We want to be very transparent with the ingredients that we serve. We want to give Singaporeans an alternative, an option of a sort of fast food sort of experience that's healthy, right? Like the ingredients are very healthy. We air freight our avocados in. We air freight our tomatoes in. We bring all of the highest grade proteins in, and we to your question, we want to open at least 4 to 5 GYGs in Singapore every year. If we go up to 6, that would be great. But we're on a mission to kind of go into the heartlands.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go into the heartlands where there's a lot of traditional fast food. There's not a whole lot of new middle market fast food, and that's kind of where we want to play, and we feel very obligated to Singapore to give Singapore that option. It's a healthy option. It's a healthy alternative. And, it's something I love, very quickly going off topic a bit, like Singapore going into the sugar content, description.
Great A, B, C.
A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Very Singaporean.
Brilliant, right? Like how good is that giving, again, coming to optionality, like it gives people more sort sort of more knowledge on what they're consuming, right? That's brilliant. So that was when we saw that, we're like, man, why doesn't everywhere do that?
Right.
And
one more thing that I think that about localizing, I saw that nationally that happened a couple of months back. You guys have a Laksa sea bass.
Yeah,
was
man.
it Laksa sea bass?
Barramundi.
Yeah. And that's like, you can't think of that in any GYG or anywhere else in the
Right.
world, right? So,
That's unique to Singapore.
yeah.
That's
Tell me
only
more
in
about
Singapore.
flavors like that. Like, GYG, of course, the recipes and, the main products are Australian,
Yep.
inspired, right, at the start.
Yep.
But like you have localized menu and localized products as well.
Man, again, I wish I could take credit for this, but my team was so brilliant. You know, the team said, some of the team I will Adora, Rachel Lee, Kokong Lim, my business partner, this kid Araful I work with. I mean, these guys, Cheng Hong Tan, who's my executive chef, these guys were like, we got to start doing local stuff. We got to start doing fun stuff. Let's start leaning into local cuisines, and we're gonna embrace customers that would never otherwise try it, And I was like, no, everyone wants to try Mexican food. They want to have authentic Mexican food. And my team were like, Josh, you're wrong. They want to try their local cuisine flavor profile with Mexican dishes, And so I was like, you guys are wrong. They're like, no, Josh, you're wrong. I was wrong.
There was a big debate over there,
Yeah,
but
I was
disagree
wrong.
and commit and let's try, right? And that's a good
They
culture.
were so right. Yeah, it was such a good culture, man. So rendang, we did the rendang, 25% of sales within like days.
Crazy.
It settled at about 18% of sales. Then we do the butter. Not the butter chicken. We did the Laksa Barramundi. That was about 12% of sales, which we were very happy with.
Very good.
We're very happy with, And then we do the butter chicken, man. And I admit the butter chicken's, I think, the most delicious thing
Bombs.
you can have with Mexican food.
Okay.
And it just explodes, man. That's been our most successful dish recently. But the mission is it's Mexican food in Asia is it's sort of confronting in a way. It's like very weird and very new. But if we do it in a way that's very sort of local,
right.
It's not threatening. So people are like, yeah, I'll try that, And then they try a butter chicken burrito and they're like, the burrito's good. Yeah. And they're like, now I'm going to have a real Mexican burrito. And so it worked,
So to the listeners that are business operators, when you do a seasonal campaign, you mentioned that some of the campaigns you have like 12%, some of them like 15%. Like what's a good campaign where a seasonal special takes like a percentage of sales, right? Is it like, above 20%? Yeah. Or is it like 12? Like, is there what's good, what's bad? And what are bummers, like that you face? Like, I tried this, but it's like 2%, no good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, you know what? I mean, to the entrepreneurs out there, I mean, I've had so many amazing mentors over my years, and they've given me the best advice of all time. And so I wish I could claim credit, but I'm just repeating my mentor's sort of advice. But we think anything below 5% of sales kind of is disruptive to the kitchen. It's very difficult for the chefs to maintain it and for the supply chain to maintain it and the kind of to keep the food safety thing going with making sure that nothing's expiring. Anything below 5% is hard to justify, So you want it above 5% of sales. And to all the young entrepreneur restaurant owners out there, the greatest tip I think I've received over the years is a huge menu is lethal. If you've got a massive menu, it's lethal.
Right.
Beep, you got to bite beep.
We can't manage the COGS. We can't manage quality. People don't know who you're known for.
It's too hard.
Yeah, it's too difficult.
Too hard, man.
Hard to train chefs.
And you know what the main thing is? It doesn't scale. If the mission is have one restaurant and you want to run that restaurant extremely well, then you can be very creative with your menu, because you control it. But if you want to scale, which many of the young entrepreneurs hopefully are listening to this it's got to be extremely simple. It's got to be a real small menu because that scales. It's very easy for the team to execute. And then when you do changes, we make changes to the menu. You can make those changes seamlessly.
Right. So every time you see something that drops like below 5%, and it might be seasonal because of things happens in trends and waves as well. Yeah. Then your team may consider to remove it as part of the menu. Recycle something new or like come up with something new and redesign in that sense. That's part of the mantra, is that right?
Yeah. You know what? Like another very smart guy once said to me, to refine your menu down, you should be dropping 20% of your menu off, deleting it every quarter, every 3 months.
Wow.
So every 3 months, do your menu mix, get it out of your POS, delete the bottom 20%, but also add 20%. Yeah. So put 20% innovation on top, delete the lowest performing 20% of your menu, and then over, say, 10 or 5 quarters, 10 quarters, you're going to refine down to a very sharp menu, right? And you've sort of ironed out what the market doesn't want. You've innovated in a way that's created newness, and you've found this sort of sweet spot, which takes maybe 6 quarters, and then you can lock down on that menu.
Product market fit and stuff, brand and everything.
But you've got to be dropping stuff out, which most entrepreneurs struggle with this. You know who struggles with this most? Chefs.
Because they're like,
they're so passionate about it.
I made that amazing dish. Keep it there. People come here for that.
Don't you delete my thing? It's my favorite thing. You're like, hey, listen, we have to delete it. It's not selling.
Inventory.
Delete it. Delete it.
Training. Cost, man. Yeah. I think that's really, really good learning. Just in the first 5 minutes I was sharing over here, I learned so much from that. Now, GYG classifies yourselves as good quality food, but also QSR, right? In the way you model your operations, it's very lean, it's very efficient. Business model-wise, how do you think about GYG's business model as compared to the other fried chicken and burger chains like, target, price point, returning visit, basket size? Like, how do you think about that QSR business model? Yeah,
man. I mean, I think, again, like we've been so lucky, right? Like, we've been very lucky with our timing, with the way of the world, and Mexicans been embraced globally very quickly over the past sort of 10 years. So I think we're extremely lucky. So what I say, with a grain of salt, right? Like, I'm absolutely not the authority on it, but I think the magic of great fast casual concepts is you try to really use restaurant quality ingredients in a fast food format. That's quite magical, and I think it's very tempting to cut quality over time to try and reduce your cost of goods, which, again, the restaurant owners out there hopefully listening to this, everybody thinks a customer won't notice. They notice, right? They absolutely notice, and even the slightest reduction in your quality, they're going to notice. And the worst part, in a way, is like they subconsciously notice. They don't actively notice. They just stop coming because they're not drawn to you because they're not craving what you sell, right? So I think that's the magic of GYG. We've never compromised. We've never sort of cut corners and this, again, credit to Stephen, our founder. Like, that's his mantra. We'll never compromise on the ingredients. Like, the customer knows, man. It's like Apple. I bought a new Apple iPhone today.
Yeah, how is it?
I'm so excited about opening the box. It's got to stop sweating.
Yeah.
I haven't opened the box yet, but I'm so excited about opening the box because it's the quality,
Right.
Look, I mean, Apple's probably expensive, but maybe it's not like for like. I don't know. Right. But no, with GYG, man, I think we've never compromised, right? And we've always made it our duty to lean into the pain. It's selling food fast is so hard. It's so painful, right? Selling fresh food fast is even almost impossible.
Double, triple the difficulty.
It's so hard,
right.
And doing it in a scalable way is agony. But as a smart guy once said to me, pressure is a privilege. Pain is a privilege. If it's painful, it's extremely painful. It's valuable. If it's not painful, then everybody would do it.
Exactly.
So you kind of want it to be extremely difficult because then it's valuable. Then people are going to love it. So I don't know. I can't comment on sort of the market generally, but I think we've always just said, how much would our kids, like, I've got 2 daughters, like, what would if our kids were to, like, buy a burrito 3 times a week, what are they going to pay? And we're like, this is the price, this is what they're comfortable with and stuff. How are we going to find a way to sell our burritos for that cheap? And so we're volume obsessed, we're technology obsessed, we're trying to find ways to sell extremely high grade, extremely high quality ingredients at a price that Singapore can afford it, right? It's extremely difficult, but Singapore's recognizing it, and we're so honored that they love the product, because we work so hard to get it to them,
Right. I really love the concept that restaurant-grade restaurant ingredients, QSR operations and efficiency to reduce certain costs of operations and and making it a lean machine and ensuring that the consumers can eat it 3 times a day in a price point like your daughters and stuff you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's golden, man. That's a good recipe for success, thinking about that line, because people vote on instead of the feet this time, their mouth, right? People taste the difference.
Man, and it's, you know what, to your point, it's very tempting once the business gets going to kind of compromise, which is in our business, compromise is sometimes a necessary word, but it's a dirty word. You don't want to compromise, right? But, to all entrepreneurs out there, all the restaurant guys, if you can hold on to that quality, the market will honor you. The market will recognize that. If you really cut corners and you go to the cheapest grade, thinking that you can get let's just force our price point down. Let's just sell cheaper stuff. I remember reading this article. It was basically saying, you look at all of business since the history of time, right? Eventually, quality wins in every industry. In every industry, cheap never really wins. So quality. You got to protect it.
Super. So GYG and Yoji have went through a lot of years in Singapore and doing so well. Share a story of a success and also share a story of a failure with our listeners.
Oh man,
Success first.
It's so much hard, isn't it? I understand as entrepreneurs listen to this. There's so much more failure than success, isn't there? It's funny and hilarious. You're like, talk about success. You're like, I don't know. I don't remember the last time we succeeded.
How do you get a Yoji project?
I can easily answer. It's only because it's relevant to me today. So the team were like, we got to do butter chicken. Butter chicken in Singapore is going to sell, right? And I was like, I don't know if it translates into Mexican food and stuff like this. And they said, butter chicken, it's going to shoot the lights out, right? It's going to absolutely shoot the lights out. And so we went to the drawing board. We did a butter chicken salsa. We did a butter chicken recipe. And the team came back and they're like, not punchy enough. And so we're like, okay, so let's make it punchier. So we tweaked the recipes and made it a lot more punchy. And then we're like, what are we going to put it on? Is it on the tacos, or is we going to put it in a burrito? And then the team were like, let's try it on the nacho fries, which is French fries, like fries with the butter chicken and nacho fries. And I tried it. I was like, my God, this is the best thing I've ever had, And so we launched butter chicken. Speaking of success first, right? We launched butter chicken with the nacho fries, and it's just insane.
Killing
it.
It's
killer. It's killer. It's just, again, super lucky. The overlap of Mexican cuisine with butter chicken, strangely it just seems to work. It's just a miracle, Maybe the Mexicans should have discovered butter chicken and the Indians should have discovered nacho fries.
But there's a lot of similarities in the culture, even though they are halfway around the world, right? Like thinking about like the wheat base or bread base or like wraps and stuff like that. You have a lot of that paradas and naans and all those kind of rotis you get. It's crazy overlapping.
Amazing overlaps.
Right?
And
you did it uniquely differently as well. It's not just like a naan or parada butter chicken, right? They're doing it Mexican style, honoring the Mexican way with salsa and all, with a twist. And I thought that was very interesting. I owe my career to the Indians and the Mexicans. Of course, excellent. So how about a difficulty that you went through, or messed up, right? Or up, if you put it that way, that you can share with everybody.
Man, there's so many things. I think the most sparky, fun one is probably I think we had 4 restaurants in Singapore, right? And we were doing well. Things were going well, and we're very lucky. We'd Hail Married into a couple of lucky locations, and things were going well. And we were like, let's go to the heartlands. Let's go into the heartlands. And we were like, things are going to work. It's going to shoot the lights out. And so we sign a lease and we launch in Yishun, way up north, right? Which is
Johor South for some people, right?
Johor South, exactly, man, exactly. So it's 45 minutes away, which is difficult. It's from an HR perspective, from a supply chain perspective, man. So we launch this restaurant and we just get killed for years. For years we get killed. We were just too early. We just hadn't done enough work. We hadn't done enough work like educating the market. We hadn't done enough work understanding our price points yet. The price points. There's geographic there's theory on geography, right? Like you can have certain price points in the CBD, you can have certain price points in the heartlands or the rural equivalent of Australia or stuff like that. So Australia's got tiered price points based on the states and stuff like this. So we probably overcooked ourselves. Like we went a bit early, and it was extremely, extremely painful for a very long time, And then one day we didn't come up with the idea, but our headquarters in Australia did like the $3 taco, and I was like, do we call it the $3 taco? What happens if there's inflation and we need to call it the $4 taco? That's bad. That's bad. And so we're like, no, it's the $3 taco. We all had this big discussion about it. And so failure into success. So we end up going, let's call it $3 taco, and we launch it. And it just, like the butter chicken, it was a menu item that was extremely affordable, right? It's equivalent to the hawker centers, $3. And it's a Australian ground beef. It's a high quality dish. It's got some crunch into it, so it's a bit unique, Boom. It just flies. It flies, man. It flies. And the people that were already dining at our North Point City Yishun outlet, they just added the $3 taco to their dish, to their order.
So it's an extra. It doesn't cannibalize the order. It's like
they added it.
I'll add one more $3 taco.
They added it. Yeah, crazy, man. And then the people, like the aunties and the uncles, like the Singaporean aunties and uncles, who they were like, Mexican's not for me. They were like, it's a $3 taco. I'll try it. I'll just try it. So they come in, they just tried it once. I'll just have one taco. Like, damn, this is good.
Back again.
Yeah. So we had this funny story. I got a funny story, actually. So I'm on the till. I'm on sales at North Point. And I'm taking orders. And this Singapore uncle, Yishun uncle, comes up to me. And he's like, you look Australian. Like, I'm not sure you fit in here. And I was like, yeah, I know. I agree, man. I am Australian, but, I kind of, I work here. These are my restaurants. He goes, oh, you are Australian. I was like, yeah, I'm Australian. And he goes, so this is Mexican food? I was like, yeah, this is Mexican food. And he goes, in Singapore? I was like, yeah. And he goes, so you're an Australian in Singapore selling Mexican food to Asian people? And I was like, that's the weirdest thing ever. How'd you say that? That's so weird. What now? I said to him, when you say it like that, that's so weird. But yes, that's actually exactly right. Anyway, so he was this lovely guy, and he was like, I love the $3 taco. I've never had Mexican food. I love your $3 taco. I was like, well, we just launched it, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate the feedback, And that was it, man. Everything just performed really well. So that's an example of one of our restaurant locations. It was very painful. Like, nothing's really a failure. Like, when you talk about failure, it's just learning. You're just refining. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Nothing. As soon as you view something as a bit of a failure, like you've given up on it in a way. I mean, even if we closed that restaurant, we would have known that we were too early, so we'd refine our real estate plans. So we win. So it wasn't a failure. It was sort of a positive thing.
Right, and I think that helps you with your, real estate play for the next few outlets. The way you make sure that you have a $3 taco or equivalent like strategy, foot in the door, let people like, hey, this is what is it about.
Yeah.
And, I realize that it helps with the entire,
That's
take up rate and stuff like that. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to the next part of the show, actually. We're going to talk about industry insights, tech stack, and stuff like that. So, ex-banker must be very methodological, methodological dashboards and all.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Do you have like everything in your palm? Do you go back and everything runs automatically? Like
I love it,
how is technology for you guys? And
well, I think that the technology is a moving target, a moving feast. It's AI buzzword, but it's moving so fast that you can't not play in that field, right? Even as a restaurant operator, you've got to be obsessed with technology. That's just not an option, And anyone that leans away from that reality ain't gonna have a fun journey in the restaurant industry. So we leaned into the technology thing, and we went searching for the very best partners to help us scale. We were very realistic, right? We're Mexican restaurant guys. We're burrito guys. We're not app guys. We're not, POS guys. We're not data analyst guys. So we were like, let's go and find the best guys to.
Because a lot of F&B guys that are thinking of it's so easy to build an app. I'll just build my own POS. I'll just build my own StaffAny. I'll just build my own inventory.
That is That is, I mean, I don't want to be too controversial, but that's suicide. That's insane.
Yeah, do one or the other really well,
because,
right?
Because, well, the reality is you build it, and by the time you finish building it, it's redundant, right? Because they've moved past you so quickly, Technology is moving so fast. So the way we view technology, it's like a fighter pilot, right? A fighter pilot is moving joysticks only ever so slightly, ever so tiny little movements, which translates into drastic movements in a jet, and that jet's movements are like devastating, right? You're just letting missiles off or something. Not that that's relevant, but he's just ever so slight movements, right? And so our view was, we wanted our restaurant managers, we wanted our head office team to be fighter pilots. We want ever so slight movements to flow into dramatic movements in the restaurants, So we went searching for the partners that could do that for us, and create a fighter pilot environment, and not require. I mean, in our business, the most important person in our company is the restaurant manager.
Yeah.
And we live and breathe that. We breathe that. Like I think a lot of people talk big game, but we try to really live that, and we honor our restaurant managers as the most important people in the business. So they're our pilots. They're the pilots. So let's find a way to empower them, right, and supercharge them with everything they need to make subtle, small movements and huge impact, that kind of thing.
Awesome. So when we think about technology that way, when do you guys invest in applications, products and stuff? Was it like at the early days, or was it when you had some scale? Because some of the people are just starting up, and some people have like 10 outlets, 5 outlets. Like, when did that become a priority for your restaurant managers?
That's a good question.
Or was it because you were from Australia with the the big backing of the original brand,
man.
and it's like, it's gonna be day zero. We're gonna day one is too late.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You know what? If I'm sitting in the room, right now, I'm just hypothetically with 10 young entrepreneurs, 10 young Singaporean entrepreneurs, I would probably say to those lads and those girls, I would say to them, it's all about the product, right? You got to just nail that product so tight. You got to get that thing nailed that the market just is in love with your product. You got to go through that 80-20 thing, like cut the 20, just burn the bottom 20% over like 6 quarters, 4 quarters, or even 2 quarters.
Mm-hmm. If you're fast enough, yeah.
Yeah, or even monthly. Mm-hmm. Burn 20% of the menu every month,
right,
for 3 months, 6 months, and get that product razor sharp, And then when you've got the product, when you've got the killer product, which I can't take credit for, like Stephen, our founder, and Robert, the other founder of GYG, they refine the product very much. Then you just find ways to get the product to the customer in a better way. You find ways to give the customer what they want in a better, faster way, in a way that they love, But you've got to find that product first, I guess, Yeah,
because if you don't have that product market fit and your product is pissed, then there's no way technology or anybody will save you, right? Like, you're just gone, right? Yeah.
You got to have the product's got to be red hot, which, I mean, I've been very fortunate. I guess that's, I've been asked a few times, like, franchising versus owning, and I mean, my career, my life, just out of luck, has turned into a franchise sort of guy, and I think you sort of shortcut your way through that initial entrepreneurial
0
pain.
to 1 pain, right?
Yeah, you 0 to 1 pain, exactly. You go straight to kind of scaling mode, which again I owe the GYG founders for that. So I'm not a great authority on the entrepreneurial space in a way. But I would just say the product's got to crush, and the product's always going to evolve. Right. It's always going to change. It's never going to be fixed forever. We all have our battles, and nothing lasts forever. Right. McDonald's they're experiencing similar sort of innovation pain. We're all like, geez, man, the consumer is really refining what they value. And they're like rethinking the way they live. And so we're all in this battle together. Like we're all in the same trenches together. And so it's all about the product. And then you go into the tech.
Right. Now we talk about management style, because, scaling your team, you mentioned good names, your head chef, your leadership team and all. It's all about the people, but to scale to that level that you're in, it's also process. So, how do you lead with metrics? Like, do you lead with monthly meetings and then you show certain metrics every week, every month? Like, what metrics do you track on a cadence of what you choose to track? Yeah.
I heard this saying the other day. In our life, we do not rise to our ambitions or our goals. We fall to our systems, So if you don't have great systems in place, you fail, inevitably. You must have incredible systems, right? Mine is, and I'll come around to your question, mine is I love sweet food. I love sugar, ice cream and stuff. If there's ice cream in my house, if there's chocolate in the house, I eat it. I can't stop eating it. Like as a psychopath, I just end up eating it. So my wife and I were like, we need to get this, well, my wife, right? She's like, no more sugar. We get this out of the house. That's a system. So we get rid of sugar, so I stop eating sugar, But anyway, in a way, it's a very basic version of a system. But coming back to metrics, and metrics just follow, they're an outcome of systems in a way. We look for a lot of things, but it very much depends on the life cycle of the business, right? Like, I think there's a few things in terms of metrics that I personally love. I think Google is one of the most amazing businesses in the world, and Google Maps is, if anyone said they don't use it, they're lying, So I think for me, your Google rating is imperative, is critical.
It's a discovery platform for
customer,
everything, right?
If you're not, that's a new age. That's a new age credibility.
True.
What's your reputation? Like, you grow up, you go to university, you get a master's degree. You're trying to build up your reputation. You get a master's degree, you get a bachelor's degree, you do an internship, you work at UBS like I did. This is just building up your reputation, right? Your reputation is Google. So you've got to be on Google, and you've got to have a good reputation on Google. And you've got to listen to what your customers are saying on Google. And if they're pissed off about something, you've got to react real quick. You've got to react fast. If your Google reviews are falling, because Google authenticates a lot of these things. They remove non-authentic
bots,
reviews.
Scam, whatever,
Yeah, they remove. So they're the best. So you've got to listen to what Google says. So I think that's number one. I think that's one of the great social listening devices. Listen to what Google says about you, through what your customers are saying about you. That's a big one. I think that's a big one. I think people underestimate the power of it.
So let's share this a little bit with entrepreneurs again. So do you have a marketing team that shares with you Google rating of every outlet every week? And then the trend, is it up, down? What are some of the people saying? And then please take action, Josh. So how does that flow work?
We work with a group called Momos.
Okay.
Speaking of tech, speaking
Momos,
of tech. So Momos and us have a very close relationship, and they in the early days when we were both young businesses, like the founder of Momos, a guy named Sai, he's this young guy, who's a dude. He's a dude. We had these big long conversations where what do you guys know about your Google reviews and what customers are saying about you? And I was like, I don't know.
I just know it's 5-star. I just know it's 4.7.
Well, exactly. I sort of didn't really know. And at the time, I wasn't really looking at it and stuff. And so we worked together and sort of kind of gave each other feedback on things that were critical, on customer feedback and stuff. And it played into each other's nets. It really panned out very well. But Momos is a tool that we use to kind of sort of digest the feedback, tens of thousands of reviews, and that we get the sentiment scores from the market that says the market's pissed off about something, right? And they're pissed off on a large scale. We fix it, So we got to fix that quick, So we go back to the drawing board and we fix stuff quick, And so I think Google reviews is a big one. You got to listen to Google reviews. Right. We're in the restaurant industry. People are, especially in Singapore, right? There's a lot of tourists here,
right?
And they don't know Singapore, so they come here. They search, where should I go for dinner that's near me? Everybody does this
on Google, on any platform.
Yeah, in Google, boom. Then that goes. If you're under 4.4 stars, entrepreneurs. If you're below 4.4, not good, not good.
4.5 and above.
You got to get it to 4.4 at least, but 4.5 and above.
Right.
And you got to listen, man. You got to listen to what Google's saying. Anyway, Google, number one. That's number one.
Now, second thing, I think revenue is also another thing that makes your restaurant manager so important, pushing sales targets and all. How do you track and incentivize your managers to hit certain sales target? Because some people might argue, hey, it's depending on marketing, it's depending on footfall, it's depending on menu. How does the outlet manager influence your sales target? So maybe could you share, how do you think about that?
I love it, man. So not giving away too many secrets.
One secret. Next be another one. One secret.
No, I think, you know what, like being an Australian in Singapore, I have a deep respect for a cultural difference here, where in Australia, Australians view audit, like being audited, like being policed, Australians like, oh, I'm being audited like that. I hate it. I hate that, In Singapore, the feedback we got from the team is, oh, I'm relieved I'm being audited because it's educating on me on what I'm missing, And we were like, what? The people here,
mindset.
The mindset here from all the team here were like, oh, it's kind of fantastic, I'm kind of relieved I'm being audited. Show me where I can improve. And I had the deepest respect for that. I was like, that's the best approach to audit that I've ever seen, because if that's your approach to audit, you're going to get better and better and better with audit, because you're viewing it like education. You're kind of viewing it like excellence. You're viewing it like an excellence thing, So we then invested heavily in auditing the restaurants, not in a bad way, but in a very sort of positive way, where we kind of we gave the team, here's the audit in advance, like self-audit.
Checklist, right?
You can do your own audit.
Right.
You can audit yourself with your phone, with photos and stuff. And then we're going to come in, here's the critical things we're going to be looking for. And so when they passed the audit, the team were like, that's like, in a way, kind of like a qualification.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? An exam, which Singapore loves exams.
Yep. Love to be like, check,
Singapore loves.
You're good,
Yeah, O levels, A levels, all this sort of stuff. Singapore loves exams. An exam is an audit,
It is.
It's an audit.
It is.
Do you know your stuff? Because stop swearing,
Do your stuff, yeah. It's good.
In a way. But so I was so excited about this. And so my big tip to the young entrepreneurs is don't underestimate automated audit functions. So there's lots of apps out there where you can, as a business owner, you're going to see more. Right. You're going to know more. You're going to see more because you're the inventor of this thing.
What is the line between auditing for growth and quality control, as well as micromanagement? Because that's a dirty word right now. People are like, I don't want to be micromanaged, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that comes down to the culture of the leader, or the caliber of the leader.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to kind of addressing audit first, right? Like addressing audit first. If you do the audit and you provide the audit results to the team in a constructive, healthy way, here's where things need to evolve and develop. Here's an area where we can work together to fix this. That's extremely constructive.
It's like more like coaching, like mentorship, it's guidance,
coaching,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. You're sort of investing in this young person. And if this young restaurant manager or this young person, they might own a business themselves one day,
True.
Right? And you're effectively passing that knowledge to them through audit, that's a very wonderful thing, right? Like they might own a restaurant, they might start a restaurant. How awesome is that, And so that's a constructive way to do audit versus going in and saying, gun to the head, you breached the rules.
Yeah, you messed up here.
It's crazy. It's not good. No one wants to work at a company like that. So I think that's micromanagement, when you're kind of whipping someone for underperforming. But you know what? You set the rules. You got to coach someone. If someone didn't follow the audit, it's probably your fault because you didn't coach them well enough. That's the way we sort of look at it in a way.
So one deep dive question is that if a person passes the audit in your firm, do they get some incentives, cash or something?
Yeah, the best audits, they get big kickers. They get all kinds of bonuses, and we put a lot of incentives in place because you know what?
But people know them, right? Like it's like I know that if I'm like top quartile in that audit, I get something. Like it's spelled out in the HR contracts.
We make it binary, extremely binary. It's a points based. It's like a points based system. And if they shoot the lights out, man, they get big bonuses, which is kind of how it should be. Because the irony is, the best performing restaurants from an audit perspective are the biggest revenue restaurants, and they're the most profitable restaurants. So Of course we share the profits with
course.
them. You know, of course
Nice.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys are dynamite. They kind of deserve it. You know, what they kind of deserve it. They bloody deserve it. They're the best of the best.
Right. So we move from the revenue side of things, getting businesses in through Google, Maps. We talk about team members, auditing and coaching and training and rewarding them. I'm going to talk about labor costs and then after COGS and rental. So on labor costs, how do you guys think about cost structures? Because, in Singapore, rising labor costs is getting bonkers right now. Is there like a cost ratio you try to, fit in this QSR model? Is there like a lot of automation with central kitchens and robots and the guy just takes the order? How's labor costs managed for you guys?
Yeah, man. I mean, the labor cost piece is viewed as a very challenging thing, but there's a huge opportunity there, right? I think we look at sales per labor hour, right? So how much revenue per labor hour, per individual can we generate? This really is the gold standard, really. Because you've got restaurants that are small footprint, big footprint, high foot traffic, low foot traffic and stuff like this. When you look at it in that methodology, it benchmarks everyone against each other. It's very like for like, It
normalizes different outlets to make sure.
Outlets.
Okay, you may be a slower sales outlet because of your location.
Yes.
But how does your labor hour compensate to that? Right?
Yes.
The ratio,
exactly.
basically. Yeah.
What's your productivity really is the underlying mission, right? SingGov is just all over it. So in such a brilliant way, we've such a good relationship with enterprise and these different divisions, and it's the same as Australia. Like all economies are talking about it. Productivity, man. What's the underlying productivity, and we've sort of digested that and tried to layer that into our business as well.
So deeper question over here for people that don't know about it, because it's a really good metric.
Yeah.
Do you measure your SPLH, your sales per labor hour, to the hour of the day, to the half an hour to the day, or to what granularity?
Good question, man. I think there's a great thing called analysis paralysis.
That's too much, right? That's like to the minute. No way, right? Yeah.
You don't in our industry. You can't really make change live. You can't. You just can't. Right? Like the industry is too brutal and there's too many variables and stuff. So you've got to receive the data, digest it to make change and stuff. So I think we definitely look at it on a day basis.
Day basis at least.
And a retrospective hourly basis. So we'll look at last week's hour by hour.
Opening shift, closing shift, city, it's a bit different because of lunch crowd.
Yes.
Heartland's a bit different, two troves, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. But that's a very important stat. I think it's kind of,
Do you have different SPLH goals for each outlets, or is it the same across all the outlets now?
We've kind of experimented with both, like a system-wide target and then an outlet-specific target. We're still kind of trying to find the equilibrium there, the sweet spot. But the reality is, man, like you've got outlets in the CBD that are closed on Saturday, Sunday, and public holidays. It's not fair to put them on the same targets or any kind of target,
right?
As say a Marina Bay Sands,
right.
or a thumping 7-day
right.
mega outlet. It's not
right.
fair. So we definitely tweak stuff a bit.
Right. And in this SPLH, sales per labor hour, do you also take into account back of house team members salary to it?
You got to take into account everybody.
Everything, right?
Yeah, you have
Front
to.
Front of house, back of house together.
Yeah, you can't split
divided
that.
by revenue.
You can't split it because the thing is, I reckon, my opinion, as soon as you allow conditions to be wrapped around binary metrics, you erode the value of the binary metrics. The value of it is it's binary.
Yes or no, right or wrong.
Correct.
Hit or miss.
Yeah. Once you start sort of tinkering with the conditions, let's make that not so valuable because there's people back of house, or let's give them a bit of leeway because of this, then you've eroded, you've diluted the value of the binariness of it.
Right. Before we move on to COGS, maybe can you share your experience? What are some ranges you have heard of as industry best practice for sales per labor hours? Is it like, $30 an hour, $50? Like what kind of ranges are like, you sound like kind of okay.
Man.
And how do you determine that actually?
I've heard $250 an hour.
That's crazy. But how do you determine that? How do you determine 250 versus like 50?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the model a lot.
Yeah.
It depends on the model a lot. But the SPLH is so variable, but I mean, and SPLH sort of is a function of the brand, of the product, of your price point, of your operating efficiency, your technology.
Right.
There's so many things that contribute to your SPLH.
So like something so automated like Yochi should have a super high SPLH where most of the things are self-serve, right? But then your GYG, you can automate as much as you can out of it.
I love it.
But there's still going to be humans flipping chickens, right? Like unless you robotize everything. So
correct, man. You nailed it. Like it depends on the model. If the model's deep customization recipe prone, there's gonna be more labor needed.
Right.
So your ratio is gonna come down. Whereas if the thing's like a manufacturing plant, and you're just producing meat pies, Australians, right? Like you're just producing meat pies off a conveyor belt. Your SPLH is going to be crazy high, you know. So I guess it depends on the model. But
I see. But you have heard 250. You heard of 50. It could be
I've heard
anything.
of 250. I reckon.
Let's say talk about not your restaurant, but let's talk about a restaurant or a cafe, like something like a coffee kind of place, like a new entrepreneur in Singapore. They want to open their own cafe. What kind of value should they think about? Like,
I mean, I would say. I'm not the authority on it at all. I haven't worked. I don't understand cafes much. Like I'm a kind of franchise fast food guy, but I'd say that if it was me, I'd be looking at my P&L and going, let's say my hourly rate is for an easy number $10 per hour,
for example,
right?
Yeah.
If that's an easy, so let's say $10 per hour for the labor, right? That's an easy number to work out. And then my cost of goods is $10, so that's 30. Say it's a price point's $30, right? $30 or something. You definitely want your sales per labor hour to be 20% of your cost base. So you want to target like a
$50 something. $10 is $50, right?
Yeah,
$10 cost base. $50,
you want to probably target You don't want to be below a $50 per hour per head.
Right, because below that it would be like 30% cost base, but if like $50 is like 20% cost base,
I think that's probably something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
So the idea over here is to take account your cost of goods and take account your cost of the product you're selling for, the revenue that you're collecting, and find a sweet spot based on average salary rates that you have.
Something like that, yeah. I mean, and look, the model's going to equalize. You're going to. I mean, for us, if we push our SPLH too hard, people will get frustrated. People start quitting.
Right.
Yeah, the menu items get messed up, and then the delivery orders, there's missing items, and things blow up, right? Like, and if our SPLH is too low, people's phones come out. They start getting bored, right? So they start looking at Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a range. There's a very healthy range, but every model needs to find what that range is based on their own profitability.
Right. You know? I once learned from a mentor that the best way for you to actually figure out SPLH is not refer to what Josh is doing or other people, is to calculate your existing SPLH. So with that, once you know your existing, it might be $38, it might be $50, it might be $72, and your job is to improve that next week.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Because everybody has a different baseline, right? Like your baseline on different brands are different, but if every week I can improve that by $1 or something, you're improving, and 1% better is way better than aspiring to be a Yochi that is still difficult with the yogurts coming out that's off the shelf, right? That's so crazy. Now COGS, talking about the cost ratio, you mentioned quality ingredients, restaurant ingredients.
Yeah.
How do you maintain your COGS ratios, like GYG with that volume and stuff? Like, what kind of ratios are you trying to maintain, and what is attainable and what's not?
Man, I think the market's out on this one. Like it's 30%. Like
everybody can run away.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, we're not 30%. I wish we were. Like that's where we should all target. You know, that seems to be that's the gold standard, and I agree with it. I wish. Do
you guys use any tools to manage that, like inventory management, cost, supply chain? Any cool ideas that you share with people on?
Yeah, we
process
do.
At least.
Yeah, I mean, we use a business called Market Man. Our Australian peers use a business called Crunch Time. Mm-hmm. And both of them are very powerful tools. you know.
COGS management.
Yeah, I mean procurement into COGS management, waste management, all this sort of stuff. Just, I mean, again, it's you know what, man. I think the hardest thing to manage in our industry is COGS. You know, it's so hard to.
It's eroding the profits, right? At the end of the day, that's where your margin comes in, right?
Well, just to truly deeply understand the COGS, is so hard. You know, and now it's kind of like the entrepreneur podcast. This podcast, I hope that's valuable, because everybody thinks, you know, you go to big businesses and these guys got the stuff buttoned down, right? Like they know exactly what everything is. No, man, we're all struggling. You know, we're all trying to find a way to get it right. You know, and COGS is the big one. COGS is the one that's hard to crush. You know, but no, we use MarketMan in Singapore, which integrates into our POS. And we've got, again, our executive chef. His name's Cheng Hong Tan. This kid's got it as buttoned down as you can get it. I reckon. Like he's taken our COGS from a level we were uncomfortable with, was painful, yeah. And he's brought it down. He's brought it down to a level we're comfortable with. But you kind of, you know, the thing with COGS as well, you don't want your COGS too low. If your COGS are too low,
people can taste the difference, man. Yeah.
Either your ingredients are not good, or your price point's too high.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got to feel some pain on the COGS.
So the hard question here is the art of reducing COGS more about wastage management, or is it more of procurement where you get better prices for the quality of food? Like, where do you play that card more?
I think.
Or both at the same time, actually.
Yeah, man. It's funny you say that. I was about to say that. You know, it's excellence in your ops, right? Like it's everything. It's your ordering. Are you over-ordering, under-ordering? That's going to affect your COGS. If you're over-ordering, you're going to have wastage. That's going to affect your COGS. So your ordering needs to be buttoned up, you know? That's before you've even done anything with the ingredients.
Part of audit, checklist?
Yeah, checklist.
Part of the audit.
Critical. Checklist. You've got to use checklists. Man, it doesn't matter who we are. No one can remember everything that's involved in running restaurants. We all need checklists. Everyone, all of us. Anyone that owns a restaurant should have checklists. So I think, yeah, you've got procurement, ordering, over, under ordering. If you've got wastage, it's going to blow your COGS up. Then you start using the COGS. If your grill's too hot, it's going to dehydrate your protein. It's going to destroy your protein.
That's as well, yeah.
So your yield's going to fall, which means your COGS is going to blow up, right? So if you've got the wrong equipment, your COGS is
messed. Yep.
F-worded, you know?
I didn't know that there's that granularity that even the heat will affect the yield of your meat. That's crazy, man.
Man, if you're going through 100 kilos of chicken a day and your grill's too hot, you're going to lose 5 kilos, 6 kilos of chicken a day and just yield loss, you know? That's going to blow your COGS up, you know.
It's crazy.
And then you flow into wastage because you might not have trained your team well enough, so they're remaking orders over and over again because you've got, you know, poorly trained staff. You know, that's going to blow your COGS up again. Then I don't know. I mean, the missing items. The customer's pissed off. You gave me chicken. I ordered steak. Then you got to remake the chicken. You got chicken.
Standards, yeah.
Your COGS blows up. So I guess it flows into everything. You know, the COGS is that's the hardest one. That's the hardest one.
Last question on the holy trinity of cost, which is rent, before we go to the end of our show, is actually how does GYG think about rental location? Because you talk about Yishun, you talk about, you know, hotspots, central, downtown, city areas.
Yeah.
Do you guys chase footfall? You guys go for, like, what's the strategy of rental and how do you think about it?
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, our model, our concept is unique. And so it's going to thrive in certain settings and it's going to fail in other settings. And so, again, I'm not really I can't comment on all sort of concepts, where they're going to thrive, where they're going to fail. Like some concepts, like Yochi and GYG are structurally different real estate plays. They don't do well necessarily in each other's positions. We couldn't just put a Yochi in every GYG and it succeeded. Probably would not, you know, and vice versa. So I think, man, I mean, here's a funny fact for you. Like I'm not saying that I Googled this. I think I AI'd this. Singapore per square kilometer has 9,000 people. Guess what Australia has per square kilometre?
9,000 sheeps maybe.
No, that's New Zealand. I think that's New Zealand.
9,000 cows or something like that. Yeah, shit.
Australia is 3 people, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, I say that as a very dramatic example of how important real estate is, right? Like if you're in a place like Singapore, yeah, it's extremely competitive. There's a competition everywhere, and all the landlords are converting retail space into F&B space.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a massive oversupply of restaurant space now. You know, did I say that right?
Yeah.
They're converting retail into restaurants.
Yeah, so there's a lot of restaurants opening and
it seems,
competitive.
To us, it seems like there may be a massive supply of restaurant space. You know, so that means that it will dilute revenue a lot in the restaurant industry. So the competition is going to get ferocious. So again, to your point, means real estate becomes very, very important. You want to be in a very good spot. But I think, the things we look at is there car parking? Is there air conditioning? Is there covered walkways? Is there MRT access? Is there bus access? You know,
sounds like a checklist again.
Yeah, man. These are important things to factor in. Really, which we think about. Would we go there? Like, would I go there with my daughters?
Would you go to that mall or that outlet? Would you go there?
Is it convenient? Is it gonna? If it rains, can I get there? Is there car parking if we get a car, or if we drive, or if we get a grab, is there a nice drop-off location, or is it a messy? All these things are fairly. I mean, everybody probably they seem like simple things, but man, they're important. You know, they're very important. So we look at all these things with the locations we're searching for. You know.
So if all of these things are like yes, good location, good car park, good aircon, good walkway, good footfall, would you pay a premium for that versus like, hey, there's another outlet that's maybe 20% cheaper, but one thing is not as good. You know, like how do you think about real estate? Is it the best place wins?
I think define premium.
Define a premium.
I think we're probably all paying a premium automatically in Singapore because rent here is absolutely expensive. You know, on a occupancy cost perspective compared to other markets. Like you can't just say oh, rent's expensive, like relative to what, compared to what, you know. And when you do look at the occupancy cost of businesses, the occupancy cost is high, you know. So businesses are feeling the heat on this point. So I think that's kind of the way we look at it. But I think that said, the alternative way to look at it, here's another way to look at it. Rent is effectively a cost of acquisition of revenue.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So if you want big,
you
want big revenue, you got to pay rent. You know, so you got to get the best rent, and the landlords know that. You know.
Awesome.
So
I've got the final part of the show. Quick fire questions. I ask a question, try to answer in one sentence or a word if possible. Are you ready, Josh? Are you ready? Final part of the show.
Ready.
Who is someone in the industry whom you have learned a lot from?
His name is Bob Kwan.
What is one piece of advice you wish someone had given you before you started out your first outlet in Singapore?
Persistence.
If you're to dine in one of your outlets, what is your order of choice at this season right now?
I would say get the spicy steak burrito with guacamole.
Any special Josh order?
You know what's my special order? Which I mean, it's a spicy steak burrito with guacamole. Like it's killer. That's the best. I think that's the best thing on the menu. Spicy steak burrito with guacamole. Man, that's just a magical thing. Yeah.
So how should someone interested in your journey follow you?
Call me.
Call you.
Send me an email.
Email. I'll just put an email. That's
Come
not
on.
Call. Email.
Man, I mean, you know what? Like a long answer. I know it's a one-word answer, but I was asked, like, what's the key to success, man? Like, what's the, we're still struggling. We're still sort of doing our thing. But I think the key to success is incredible mentors. You know, if you can find like brilliant mentors who have been down the road and have experienced the pain, you know, and they grab them. Like we've got this Bob Kwan,
right?
Very, very big mentor of mine, very important mentor of mine. We grabbed him. I was like, I'm begging you, give us an hour a month. Let us have an hour of your time, right? Like, and his knowledge was just so diverse and so brilliant, And there were so many things that could have gone wrong that did not go wrong because of his advice.
Now, then the final question is, are you willing to offer one mentorship session for one of the listeners of our podcast?
Oh, it would be a pleasure, man. I'd love to do that.
Kick
of
ass,
course.
man. Yeah.
Say the word, you know.
Final words before we end off the podcast with our final toast. Final words for our listeners.
It's the young entrepreneurs listening to this. Persistence, lads. Persistence, ladies. You got to just push through the pain. And if you haven't experienced like a bit of pain yet, you're not pushing hard enough. You know, you got to lean into the pain because that's where the magic is. You know?
Here's to more pain for everybody. Cheers, man. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you.
All right. Awesome.